In today's video, we'll be going through the 2011's American drama indie horror film Sound of My Voice. Spoilers ahead, you have been warned. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment on what your favorite part was, and subscribe to our channel for more. The movie begins with Peter and Lorna arriving at a property following some instructions. Peter is a substitute school teacher while Lorna is an aspiring writer. They're in their 20s and making a film documentary. The subject of their documentary is a secretive cult led by a woman named Maggie. After entering the property, they're instructed to park their car inside a garage where a man appears and confiscates all their belongings except clothes. After frisking them, the man takes them into the house. That's some way to welcome someone. They're then given new surgical gowns to change into and a towel. The man escorts them to separate bathrooms and instructs them to clean their bodies thoroughly with soap. After the cleaning ritual, the man blindfolds and zip ties them. Peter and Lorna then board a van where other similar blindfolded couples are already waiting. They're then driven to a secret location, and at the location, the couples are greeted by a middle-aged man with long gray hair in the basement. His name is Klaus. He inspects their hands before exchanging a distinctive, intricate handshake which they've been practicing. Now, this is some shady ritual right here. If you observe closely, when Peter and Lorna were blindfolded at the beginning of the film, before being driven to Maggie's location for the first time, the blindfolds changed from being narrow to wide and then back to narrow again. After passing the handshake stage, Klaus embraces and welcomes them. Peter and Lorna then join 8 other members. They all then bow their heads in reverence as Klaus welcomes Maggie. A veiled woman wearing a white dress walks in, dragging an oxygen bottle stroller with her. She takes a seat and unveils her face. Maggie thanks the congregation for taking the precautions to meet her, implying that the showering and clothing requirements are to avoid aggravating her illness. Maggie then proceeds to tell her story. She reveals that 2 years ago she woke up naked underwater in the bathtub of a motel. She didn't know what she was doing there or where she was from. She only remembered her name and birthday and nothing else. She was extremely weak and had a terrible immune system, and she ended up on the streets. Lost, she kept wandering until one day when Klaus found her. He heard about Maggie and her peculiar tattoos from others. He took her in, fed her, and gave her vitamins, and in 3-4 weeks she started to regain her memory. She then shows the members her tattoos on her foot. It's an anchor with the number 54 next to it. The anchor is the sign of a time traveler, and the number 54 is the year 2054 where she came from. After the meeting, Peter and Lorna drive back home. They learn that the hidden camera that they had sneaked in didn't record anything, as the camera's transmitter in Peter's car went out of range after they were taken to a different secret location. Peter notices Lorna is shaken yet intrigued by the cult. He reminds her that Maggie is a dangerous con artist who needs to be exposed before she makes any of the cult members kill themselves. When driving after the first visit with Maggie, the speedometer stays at 0 the whole time. It's then revealed that when Peter was 12, his mother was diagnosed with cancer. She was a longtime member of a New Age cult and believed that modern medicine shouldn't intervene in her fate. She later died on the eve of Peter's 13th birthday. Peter's backstory of her mother dying of cancer after refusing medical treatment because she belongs to an extremist religious sect that forbids it resembles the real-life story of rock band Metallica's lead singer James Hetfield. The couple continues to go to the secret cult meetings. They're made to do peculiar exercises and meditations. During one such meeting, a cult member takes Lorna to an indoor garden where Maggie's food is grown. The member reveals that Maggie is allergic to almost everything in the current time period. Maggie reveals in the meeting that she traveled back in time to save the people she loves. For the next meeting, Peter decides to swallow the camera's transmitter so it could travel with him to the secret basement and record whatever the camera hidden in his glasses can see. Good God, dedication. Later at the meeting, Lorna leads the members through an intense psychological exercise. Maggie then asks them to close their eyes and travel back in time to their childhood, a time before they knew words. Once there, she asks them what it smells like, what it feels like, and how they feel. She then tells them to live there. The members suddenly start to laugh and act like little children. She then calls them back to the present and asks them to eat the apple. Halfway through eating the apple, Maggie asks them if they know what's in the apple. Uh-oh. Peter and Lorna look at each other worried. Maggie then answers her questions herself and tells him that the apple signifies logic, bitterness, intellectual bullshit, and many other things that they acquired in growing up. Phew, I almost thought she poisoned them or something. She asks them how much of it they can get rid of. How can they purge themselves of shame, self-hatred, and rise to their calling as the chosen one? They all have the privilege of knowing the future, but are they going to be prepared for it? One by one, the members then start to make themselves artificially vomit the apple, as Peter, who swallowed a hidden camera transmitter right before coming to the meeting, nervously watches. Maggie then asks Peter to puke the apple, but he refuses. As she continues to press him, Lorna pretends to pass out to save Peter. However, Maggie sees through Lorna's deception and calls Peter weak for relying on his girlfriend to save him. Such a classic and cliched way to get under a man's skin. She then asks him why he's so afraid of letting loose. Who made him feel so powerless that he became so obsessed with being in control? Who hurt him so much that he never wants to feel that way again? Lorna, seeing her boyfriend being berated like this, tries to intervene. Still, Maggie continues and asks him if it's something to do with his father, or perhaps his mother. Oh, come on, don't go there now, Maggie. Peter reacts angrily and curses her out. Identifying his weakness, Maggie questions him what his mother did to make him so angry. He irately reveals that she died and left him when he was a kid. Maggie continues and asks him what happened to him afterward. Peter reveals that he lived with his grandparents after his mother's death. Maggie then comments on Peter's looks and speculates that he must have been a good-looking kid and alludes to Peter being sexually abused by someone. She's just taking it too far at this point. Maggie continues by asking how it felt not having anyone to protect him. Peter bows his head down and breaks into tears as Lorna watches in utter disbelief. Maggie comforts an emotional Peter and tells him that he may have been powerless then, but not anymore. He can let go of it now. Peter then complies and vomits the apple. The members embrace him and Peter, looking lost, hides the transmitter he puked along with the apple. Lorna starts getting worried for Peter as she has never seen him cry. She gets skeptical about going through with their covert investigation as Maggie is beginning to get into Peter's head. Peter assures her that he's fine, and he made all those things up and let Maggie think that she's right so he could get themselves out of that situation. Peter and Lorna continue to go to the meetings. During one of the meetings, Maggie describes the future as riddled with war, famine, and struggle. She reveals that her generation is really comfortable with death as people die around them all the time. But there's still beauty, especially in the countryside where there's dancing, music, and theater. The new members insist she sings a song from her time. Maggie initially hesitates, but then sings a song and later everyone sings along. One of the members, named Lamb, then tells her that the song she sang was from the 90s by a band called the Cranberries. Maggie retorts that it could be, but in the future, it was made popular by a singer named Benetton. Lamb then asks her to tell them something from the forthcoming future they could prove. Maggie, offended, asks him to tell her something from before he was born. She then asks him what he would do with himself even if she tells him something from the near future. She continues and says that a mind as narrow as his would have no idea what to do with that information. Maggie then kicks Lamb out of the group and gives his girlfriend Christine an option to stay with the group or leave with him. Christine stays with Maggie. Maggie later invites Peter for a private talk after the meeting in her room while Lorna is driven back home by the cult members. She reveals to Peter that she kicked Lamb because she saw Christine while growing up in the future, but she never saw Lamb. He doesn't belong to them. Peter then asks if he and Lorna are there in her future. She answers that it's for them to decide, not her. She then asks him for a favor. She shows him a picture of one of his students, Abigail Pritchett. She's an eccentric 8-year-old girl. Maggie asks Peter to bring Abigail to her. Peter is shocked and alarmed to hear her request. He tells her that he can't bring an 8-year-old child to a basement. Maggie, offended, tells him that either he brings the girl to her or he and Lorna can stay away from the basement. He tells her that he first needs to know why she wants her. After a lot of back and forth, Maggie finally reveals that Abigail Pritchett is allegedly her mother. Holy Mother of God, what a twist! When Peter returns home, he tells Lorna about Maggie's demand. Lorna suggests going to the police, but Peter rebuffs the suggestion. He tells her that if he doesn't bring them the girl, they'll be kicked out of the cult and their investigation will not be completed. Come on, Peter, someone's life is on the line here. Forget your goddamn investigation. Peter and Lorna have a huge argument over it. Peter accuses her of not finishing things she starts, while Lorna is outraged upon learning that Peter is even considering following Maggie's orders. She suspects that Peter, who was initially adamant that Maggie was a charlatan, is now intrigued by and even attracted to Maggie. She accuses him of falling for Maggie's deception. Lorna then kicks him out and they go separate ways. Peter later calls Klaus to let him know that he's gonna bring Abigail. Such determination, sheesh. Meanwhile, Lorna is extremely upset over Peter. A woman named Carol Briggs approaches her and tries to comfort her. She then tells Lorna that she can help her restore him to his senses. She later identifies herself as a Justice Department agent. Carol reveals that Maggie's real name is Shelley Whittle. She's wanted in Sacramento for armed robbery and in Fresno for arson. Lorna concludes that's the reason why Maggie never leaves her basement. Carol further adds that they believe that Maggie is arming, and her subjects are being wittingly or unwittingly fashioned into militias. Lorna declines to go back to the dangerous cult again, but Carol eventually convinces Lorna to help the Justice Department capture her and hide the plan from Peter. Lorna then meets Peter and tells him that he was right and they should finish what they started. She tells him that they should arrange the meeting in a public place instead of bringing Abigail to the basement. Peter is happy to get Lorna back and agrees. They again go to the next cult meeting together. After the gathering, Peter informs Klaus that he will take Abigail and her classmates on a field trip next Friday. Klaus tells him that Maggie can't go out, but Peter tells him it's the best he can do and leaves. On Friday, Peter spikes the tires of Mrs. DeWitt's car, the teacher who was supposed to take the school children to La Brea Tar Pits for the field trip. No Hollywood thriller is complete without this act of shithousery. Abigail is a student from the same school. Mrs. DeWitt can't get to school and the school principal asks Peter to accompany the children on the trip. After getting to the venue, Peter and Lorna arrange for Maggie to meet the student in public. Peter takes Abigail away from other students and lies to her that his actress friend Maggie wants to meet her to prepare for the role of a mother. The cult then makes Peter and Abigail take off their shoes and they are called to a dark, aloof room where Maggie is waiting for them. When Maggie meets the little girl, they effortlessly perform the cult's intricate handshake as Peter watches in astonishment. Abigail, surprised, asks Maggie how she knew her secret handshake, and Maggie reverently responds, "You taught it to me." Men in police uniforms then burst into the room and seize Maggie. As cult members angrily accuse Peter of betraying Maggie, he exchanges a glance with Lorna, who smiles slightly, affirming her role in Maggie's capture. Abigail then asks Peter who Maggie was, and he responds, stricken, that he does not know. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel to see more of these movie summaries.